Armenia, a fascinating and beautiful country. It has been one of the most underrated countries in the world. The country was established in 860 BC, known as Urartu, which corresponds to the biblical highlands and also refer to the ancient Armenia. In 6th century BC, the country has become known as the Kingdom of Armenia. In the 1st century, Apostles Saint Jude Thaddeus and Saint Bartholomew came to Armenia to preach Christianity. In 301 AD, 300 years after Thaddeus and Bartholomew came to Armenia, Saint Gregory the Illuminator convinced Kecharis III, king of Armenia, to convert to Christianity. Since then, the country has become the first state in the world to adopt Christianity as the official religion in what is known today as the Armenian Apostolic Church, with Saint Gregory the Illuminator as the patron saint and first official head of the church. Since the country was established, it has been invaded and ruled by different people, including the Assyrians, the Persian Empire, the Greeks, the Romans, the Byzantines, Arabs, the Mongols, and the Ottoman Empire. The eastern Armenia was conquered by the Russians in the 19th century, but the western part remains to be in the hands of the Ottoman Empire. In World War I, the eastern Armenians were systematically exterminated, in which what is known today as the Armenian Genocide. In 1920, it has become under the rule of the Soviet Union, and in 1991, they finally got their independence. After the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the country that is rich in architecture, history, arts, and culture is known today as the Republic of Armenia. Yerevan. Yerevan is the capital and the largest city of Armenia and one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. It was founded in 782 BC, which is 29 years earlier before the foundation of Rome. The Republic Square. The Republic Square is the central town of Yerevan. The square is surrounded by 5 major buildings in a neoclassical style of architecture. It was originally designed by the famous Armenian architect Alexander Tamanyan in 1924. During the Soviet period, it was known to be as the Lenin Square. After the independence of Armenia in 1991, the statue of Lenin was removed from the square. Today, the Republic Square is the most important civic space in Armenia. The Yerevan's Opera Building, designed by the Armenian architect Alexander Tamanyan, consists of 2 concert halls with a capacity of 1,400 and 1,200 seats. Based on Tamanyan's design and under the supervision of his son, Geghard Hall was completed in 1939. Large-scale construction did not finish until 1953, when the entire building was finally completed. Since it was opened, the Armenian National Opera and Ballet Theatre has performed more than 200 different operas and ballets by Armenians, Russians, and Western European composers. This is Alexander Tamanyan. He is a famous Armenian architect who designed the city of Yerevan. Alexander Tamanyan. The Cascades. The Cascade is a giant stairway composed of 572 steps made of limestone. The exterior of the cascade features the multiple levels with adorable fountains and modernist sculptures. Situated around Yerevan, Cascade is a contemporary art museum inspired by the Vision founder Geghard Monastery. The museum offers a wide variety of exhibition, collection of contemporary arts as well as unique works of modern arts. Over 1 million people have visited the center annually since its opening in mountain at the back is Mount Ararat. It is believed to be the final resting place of the Noah's Ark. "31 kilometers away from the city of Yerevan is the GARNI Temple, the only pagan temple left standing in the country of Armenia. In 301 AD, when Armenia adopted Christianity, most of these temples were destroyed, and GARNI Temple was the only temple that survived. A Roman style of architecture with a peristyle colonnade with an Ionic column order. The structure was built by King Tiridates I in 77 AD as a temple to the sun god Mihir. The date is primarily linked to Tiridates I's visit to Rome in 66 AD, where he was crowned by the Roman Emperor Nero. In 1679 earthquake, the entire temple collapsed. Since 80% of its original masonry and frieze were still at site, and with the approval of the Soviet Armenian government in 1969, it was reconstructed and it was completed in 1975. The temple is the most significant structure in Armenia from the pre-Christian period and has become a symbol of this era. Furthermore, it is a sole standing Greco-Roman colonnade building in Armenia and the former Soviet Union. It has become the tourist destination even before it is constructed in the 1970s, and today it is one of the main tourist attractions in the sites of Armenia. Geghard Monastery. Geghard Monastery is a medieval monastery in Kotaik province of Armenia, being partially carved out of the adjacent mountain surrounded by cliff. It is listed as one of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The main chapel was built in 1215. The monastery complex was founded in the 4th century by Saint Gregory the Illuminator at the site of the sacred spring inside the cave. St. John the Baptist Church is a fine example of the Armenian church architecture. It is characterized as follows: pointed domes, reminiscent of the volcanic cone of the Greater Ararat. The conical or semi-conical radially segmented dome or cupola is mounted above the vaulted ceiling and a cylindrical drum. Reinforcement of verticality with tall, narrow windows. Stone vaulted ceilings composed almost entirely of stone. A composite roof, frescoes and carvings, heavy use of tall structural arches, both supporting the cupola as part of the drum. The vaulted ceiling and the vertical walls of roof intersecting to support the dome, both in the basilicas and centrally planned churches. And lastly, the sculptural decoration of external walls. Geghard Monastery. The monastery is the best known site in Shunik. Wings of Tateb, a cable car from Tateb to Halitsor village, was opened in October 2010. It was included in the Guinness Book of World Record as the world's longest non-stop double-track cable car. Tateb Monastery is a 9th century Armenian apostolic monastery located on a large basalt plateau near the Tateb village in Shunik, province of southeastern Armenia. The term Tateb usually refers to the monastery. The monastic ensemble stand on the edge of the deep gorge of Borotan River. Tateb is known as the bishopric seat of Shunik and has played a significant role in the history of the region as the center of economic, political, spiritual, and cultural activity. In the 14th and 15th century, the monastery hosts one of the most important Armenian medieval universities, the University of Tateb, which contributes to the advancements of science, religion, and philosophy, reproduction of books, and development of miniature painting. Scholars of Tateb University contribute to the preservation of the Armenian culture and creed during one of the most turbulent periods in the history. Lake Sevan. 78 kilometers northeast of the city of Yerevan is Lake Sevan. It is the largest body of water in Armenia and the largest freshwater high-altitude lake in Europe and Asia. With an altitude of 1,900 meters or 6,234 feet above sea level, the lake provides some 90% of the fish and 80% of the crayfish catch of Armenia. Lake Sevan is considered the jewel of Armenia and is recognized as the national treasure in the country. Overlooking Lake Sevan is the Sevanavank Monastery, composed of two churches complex, Serb Arakelots meaning Holy Apostle and Serb Aspatsatsin meaning Holy Mother of God. They are both cuneiform plans, structures with octagonal tamburs. Both are quite similar in appearance.
Sevanavank Monastery. It is located above this Sevan Lake. Sevan Lake is right below down there. Yes, that is the Sevan Lake. It is 2,900 meters above sea level. It is the largest freshwater lake in Armenia. Sevanavank Monastery. Majestic view.
Tsagkadzor Cable Car and Ski Resort. It is a sports and tourist facilities located just above the Armenian town of Tsagkadzor of Kotayk province, approximately 60 kilometers northeast from the capital, Yerevan, and Barnots International Airport. It was opened in 1986 adjacent to the Tsagkadzor Olympic Sports Complex. Unfortunately, winter is still not here, but definitely with the presence of the cold wind, winter is coming. The Umbert Fortress. It is a 7th century fortress located 2,300 meters above sea level on the slopes of Mount Aragat. Umbert Fortress means the fortress in the clouds in Armenian dialect. The castle ruins of Umbert comprises of 1,500 square meters. Its walls are constructed on roughly basalt stone set in with mortars. Tower walls are inclined in order to have an easier fire on invaders below. It is also named incorrectly attributed to Barmashen Church, the 11th century Armenian church near the castle. Etchmiadzin Cathedral. 34 kilometers away from Yerevan is Etchmiadzin Cathedral, the mother of all Armenian Apostolic Church. According to scholars, it was the first cathedral built in ancient Armenia and considered to be the oldest cathedral in the world. It was built in the 4th century by Saint Gregory the Illuminator and was the seat of the Catholicos as the supreme head of the Armenian Church. A major pilgrimage site, it is one of the most visited places in the country, along with several important early medieval churches located nearby. The cathedral was listed as the World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 2000. Saint Gregory the Illuminator Cathedral, also known as the Cathedral of Yerevan. It is currently the largest cathedral of the Armenian Apostolic Church in the world. Its construction started on April 7, 1997. The church complex was designed by the architect Stepan Kortzian, and the construction was completed in 2001. The consecration of the cathedral took place in September 23, 2001, on the occasion of the 1700th anniversary of the proclamation of Christianity as a state religion of Armenia. The cathedral houses the relics of Saint Gregory the Illuminator. Shortly after the consecration of the cathedral, Pope John Paul II paid a visit to the cathedral. Sardarapat Memorial. 40 kilometers west of Yerevan is the Sardarapat Memorial, a symbol of pride and survival which marks the place of Armenia's successful last ditch to save the nation from the complete destruction under the hands of the Turks during the Battle of Sardarapat in May 22 to 26, 1918. After 4 days of fierce battle against all the odds and the Armenians' ammunition is about to be depleted, the Turkish troops finally withdrew from the border and the Armenian resistance was victorious. This marks the end of the World War I. This memorial was built in the site of the battlefield during the Battle of Sardarapat. The bells rings every year on the day of the historic victory. Mother Armenia, located at the Victory Park of Yerevan. Mother Armenia is a female personification of Armenia. Her most public visual rendering is a monumental statue overlooking the capital city of Yerevan. It was previously the location of the statue of Joseph Stalin as a victory memorial for World War II. In the spring of 1962, the statue of Stalin was removed, with one of the soldiers being killed and many injured during the process, and was replaced by the Mother Armenia statue. Standing at the height of 22 meters, it is a symbol of peace by means of strength. The Genocide Memorial Complex. This is the most sensitive part about the history of Armenia. Finally, the whole visit to Armenia will not be completed without paying respect to the Genocide Memorial Museum dedicated to the victims of the Armenian Genocide in World War I. In the course of World War I, 1.5 million Armenians were systematically exterminated. People of the western part of Armenia were subject to forced labor followed by deportation by means of death march leading to the Syrian desert. Driven towards the military escort, the deportees were deprived from food, water, and were subjected to periodically robbery, rape, and massacre. Other ethnic groups were similarly targeted for extermination. Most of the Armenian communities around the world today is a direct result of the genocide. With the approval of the Soviet government, the construction of the memorial monument began in 1966 and was completed in November 1967. The 44 meters of steel symbolizes the national river of the Armenians. 12 slabs are positioned in the circle representing the 12 lost provinces in the present-day Turkey. In the center of a circle at the depth of 1.5 meters is the eternal flame, dedicated to the 1.5 million killed during the Armenian Genocide. So this is Armenia. Despite of all the sufferings and challenges this country have experienced in the past, the country survives and remains to be strong and is getting better and better than ever before. The country of Armenia will always be one of the most beautiful countries in the world. this is how to make lavash. Armenia. And then they will put it in the piece of pillow. Yes. In a piece of pillow. And this is my favorite part. Okay, make a sign of the cross. Yan. May kasamang bendisyon pa yan. And then they will open it in a bit of bowl. Ready? 1, 2, and boom! It's sticking around there.
1 minute?
1 minute. 1 minute. Kukunin na natin yan. Narilo. See? That is what you call lavash.